My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe knows South Lake. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy South Lake morning. Man, I love me a good day. You know, my life is pretty cool. You guys know how I feel about Mondays. Had a good day yesterday. Went and covered the Martin Luther King Festival. Talked to my friend Tim Murray, and that was really cool. It was nice. Again, it's always nice to not be... I love here. This is a great deal, but it's nice to break it up and be somewhere else. And being at the festival and covering some of these live events like we did with the a ribbon cutting. Love to have that stuff. Talk to my good friend, Brandy. Ooh, had a mind fart there. My good friend Brandy Thunberg, talking about Sunshine Transformations. Had a great little piece with her. She gave us this goal setting success workbook. She said you could text this. Do you remember the number she said? You watch our interview from yesterday, and you can get this free goal setting success workbook. Breaks down goals and what they should be, and there's actually a place for you to figure out what you need to figure out so you can set goals. So very in keeping. We're actually going to bring Brandy back because we didn't really have time to go into a deep dive with her yesterday. We really appreciate her adjusting her interview from the studio out to there. So just want to say thank you. Okay, what do we got going on for today? This is a cool day because normally how I love Mondays, I get to love Tuesday because everybody had yesterday off. So, okay, we're going to talk about, today is National Hug Day, so we're going to talk about the rules for hugging. Yes, there are hugging rules. We're going to talk about catching Trek. Yes, I am a Trekkie. I'm also a warrior, so you have to be a real geek to know what either of those mean. On Cup of Joe today, we're going to continue our series on finding the faith to achieve your goals. And finally, we are going to be joined by my dear friend, Susan Proper. Susan has an amazing story, has overcome a life challenge that hits a lot of us later on in life, had been a very, very successful person and actually ran into a life challenge. I'm not going to tell you about it. I'm going to leave that for her to tell her story, but I'm very excited to have her with us and to help you overcome maybe some of the challenges that you might be facing. And we're going to hear from our sponsors, and when we get back, we'll get started. So I'll see you in a minute. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Who wants to host their own tea party? I'm Erica, owner of Erica's Tea Room in downtown Claremont, and we are happy to announce our new edition of mobile tea parties. What is a mobile tea party, you may ask? Well, it's a tea party that we do all the work and bring everything to you at your location. Your house, your office, your location. You tell us where and we'll show up and we do the work. You enjoy your day while we set everything up and make sure your party is running smoothly. Keep us in mind for your next mobile tea party.
Hello, I'm Mary Rhodes with the Mortgage Firm, your local mortgage lender. I've helped thousands of families achieve the dream of homeownership in Lake County, and I would love to help you. Please read our reviews and visit us at mortgagefirmpros.com.
My name is Michael Singh, Agency Principal of Singh Insurance and Financial Services. We offer auto insurance, home insurance, and life insurance. Our office number is 352-432-1646, and you can also check us out on our website, at www.singinsurancegroup.com.
Welcome to the Great Floridian Marketplace. We're doing Jump Into 2020 with 20% off all men's and women's clothing.
Is this included?
Erica, it's clothing.
How about that?
This is men's clothing.
How about that?
Women's clothing.
And that?
Clothing.
How
Yes.
about the bracelets?
Well, we're doing some bracelets to match the clothing, 20% off. So come in today for your 20% off. Things are flying out the door.
They are dependable, honest.
Every time I come over here, I've always feel like they go the extra mile for me.
The quality of not only the product they're providing, but them believing behind it.
I just trust them, you know, they're a great company, great dealership.
Hey, and welcome back. Hey, I love hearing from my sponsors, my dear friend Mary Rhodes, my dear friend Michael Singh. I'm recommending these people all the time. Ford of Claremont is fairly new to the family. Really appreciate them coming on. They're helping us accomplish some really cool stuff. And finally, I just want to mention Erica, who's been with us right from the beginning, just like Mary. She actually had premiered her new season, her first show of the new season, yeah? Yes. First show of the new season. Reality show, gotta see it. Great story. All the cooking you can stand. So, my wife was watching it last night.
I'll step in and save you for a second, Joe. Erica had a great debut of season 2 last night. We have foregoed the more reality-based segments. We kind of did that in the first season. This is strictly live cooking. So it's actually a live cooking show where you can actually comment and send in your questions actually as they're cooking, which is really kind of a cool thing. Different spin on this season than we did the first season. And so far, very well received. So looking forward to it in the next 6 weeks on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. It will be live on our Facebook page, so you can always tune in then. We'll have a new recipe next week and a new live show.
I thought that was a reality show. Cooking Live. Isn't that reality? I guess maybe I'm not understanding the definition of reality.
No, reality shows are actually fake, Joe.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry.
It's not actually
Forgive me.
really reality.
I see.
So the cooking show.
So it's kind of like wrestling, right, Jay?
No, wrestling's real. So, God, come on, Joe. Keep up.
You knew I had to pull your chain on that one. At any rate, we love Erica. It's a great shift for her. I think that she's going to fit right into her groove. It's good to see the station has a lot of stuff working like that. And if you're interested in the show, you really ought to. If you have business here in South Lake, if you have skills for the people of South Lake and you do business here and your customers are here, you need to be on this show. That cooking show is going to get Erica business. Lots of it. So don't miss the boat. Catch us while you can. I was having a conversation with Jay just yesterday. Our early advertisers, we're going to hold a special love for them. And it doesn't matter how big or popular, they're going to get a special deal because they were with us right from the very beginning. Be one of those people. We're still in the beginning. It's 8-9 months now? 8 months? Are we at 8 months? I think we're at 8 months. We're still fairly new. Come jump on. Anyways, all right, on to the show. 7 months. 7 months. On to the show. Today is National Hugging Day. Look, I'm a hugger. All right. If you get to know me, I'm not the kind of hugger that comes in the minute I meet you. But if I know you for a little bit, I am a hugger. But you know what? Here's the thing. I understand the rules for hugging. So the people that I associate with, they're okay when I know you for 3 or 4 meetings and we have a conversation or a coffee. And then the next time I see you and say, hey, handshake's not enough. Bring it in for a hug. Rule number 1 for hugging. If you don't have a close relationship with somebody, ask. Get permission. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, can I hug you? And I would suggest don't say, do you need a hug? The answer to that is almost always no. Can I hug you? Is almost always yes. Different type of question. Rule number 2. You're not getting married. You're giving somebody a little bit of love. Make sure it's a little bit of love. That means you can do what I call the shoulder hug. We've all seen this, where I lean forward with my shoulders, my head back, and wrap my arms and maybe pat a back, okay? Really quick. Us guys, we do the guy hug, where we don't pat with open hands. That's a chick thing. We do the wrist, bump, bump. You can do the side hug. Here you go. That's cool. Rule number 2, don't lay your cheek up against mine. Again, we're not dating. I'm just sharing a little bit of love. Final rule, no back rubbing. If you are going to hug socially, and I recommend hugging socially, you know, it can, if you know the rules for hugging, you can have an impact on people. You can actually improve relationships, because human touch is one of the things that's lacking in our society. But you got to know the rules. Don't step, especially in our Me Too movement days, right? No back rubbing. You go to hug somebody, don't bring them in and then run your hands up and down their back. And then lay your cheek up against their face. It's weird and it's ooky. So those are the rules for hugging. If you need to know those, give me a call. I'll give them to you again. Catching up on trekking. This Friday, the new show in the franchise. There was a lot of news last year and the year before. Star Trek Discovery. They had some issues. 3 seasons. They worked them out. We're looking forward to the 4th season. They had some very heavy messages in the 1st season. Didn't go over well with us Star Trek fans. By the 3rd season, they corrected some of those political messaging problems, some of the complaints they were getting from the hardcore Trekkie viewers about where this laid in the historical thing. Well, the new show is all about Captain Picard. It's a whole new Star Trek franchise based around Captain Picard 20 years after Star Trek Next Generation. So what have I been doing? I've been catching up on my Star Trek franchises because I have streaming and I can do that. Of course, I had to accept last night, I might have to be selective. There are 6 seasons, 26 shows of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Voyager. There's like 10 seasons of The Next Generation. And so if I'm going to catch up on all of them, I'm going to have to spend literally a month, 8 hours a day watching Star Trek. It's not going to happen. I got stuff to do. So what I've done is pick what I think is the best franchise since the original, and it's Star Trek Enterprise. It's about the original one. So I've really been enjoying that, and you will find me Friday night glued to the set when they drop those first 2 episodes of Picard. So if you're a Trekkie, reach out to me. I'd love to talk to you. Maybe we can share a cup of coffee and geek out together. Cup of Joe. Look, we're going to continue our theme of getting faith, in one of the best places that you can help find your faith. Remember, we're talking the book, Miracle Equation. Unwavering faith added to extraordinary effort over time helps you achieve all your dreams. How do you get the unwavering faith? You got to have a champion. And I've talked about this concept before. A champion is that person that believes in you almost obsessively. But a champion also knows how to tell you the truth. I got two people right off the top of my head, is my friend John C. Donahue and my friend Mary Rhodes. Okay, I can sit down with either of those, and as I share my heart and unburden myself and sometimes rant, they know exactly when to sympathize. But one of the best things they ever do to me, and one of the best ways they show their faith in me, which I can borrow, is to say, Joe, stop whining. Stop acting like a little bitch and get it done. You know, that sometimes has a greater effect than saying, oh, you're awesome and you can do it. And you're right, it's not fair. When they say that, it really encourages me that, yet, dang it, I am capable. And I'm just making excuses. And now don't sit there and tell me you don't make excuses. We all make them. There's all things we should be doing that we're not. If you want to have your dreams, you need a champion in your life. How do you find them? You just got to look. I'm sure they're there. And you got to be open-minded and a little bit thick-skinned. You got to be willing to give and receive the truth. You look really hard for that champion. If you don't have that champion in your life, you look in your life, you really can't find him, you reach out to me. I'll get to know you and I'll be your champion. So, speaking of champions, we're going to go to commercial break again. And when we come back, we're going to have my friend Susan Proper. We brought her picture up here. She is the owner of Susan Proper Yoga and Holistic Life Coaching. She's absolutely awesome. She has an amazing story. When we get back, she's going to be with us, and we're going to hear how this happened. See you in a minute. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Welcome to the Great Floridian Marketplace. We're doing Jump Into 2020 with 20% off all men's and women's clothing.
Is this included?
Erica, it's clothing.
How about that?
This is men's clothing.
How about that?
Women's clothing.
And that?
Clothing.
How
Yes.
about the bracelets?
Well, we're doing some bracelets to match the clothing, 20% off. So come in today for your 20% off. Things are flying out the door.
Burgerum, located in the Epic Theater.
Are you tired of having drugs or alcohol ruin your life? Do you need to get off pain pills, but still maintain pain relief? My office in Tavares has programs to help you. While not covered by insurance, program fees are affordable. My name is Alan Zupkin. I'm board certified and have helped thousands of patients achieve these goals. Please call me for further information.
50 West, pre-leasing now in Claremont. A first-of-its-kind commercial development in the Southeast. Contact us today to reserve your spot in this historic development. 50 West, unique, quality, Class A. For more information on leasing, contact Ashley Punn at 407-403-4165. Karen Arlano at 407-948-0767. Or visit lease@50west.com.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. And welcome back. Again, always good to hear from the sponsors. I'm not going to belabor that point because I ranted a little bit in the first section of the show. I want to say welcome, Susan.
Thank you.
This is Susan Proper. She's a dear friend of mine. I was just talking about champions. I can say that Susan and her husband are champions of mine. They always talk about me so kindly when we're out and socially, and her husband encouraged me for almost an hour the other day. He was a great guy. Susan's always very encouraging to me, and I actually have known Susan for a little bit, but just heard her story. I'm just going to give you her bona fides. She is Susan Proper, the owner and founder of Susan Proper Yoga and Holistic Life Coaching. She is also a volunteer and coach with the Special Olympics and she is a lifelong student.
Yes.
Now, I know these these bona fides don't seem terribly, auspicious, but they are very, very important, especially that lifelong student.
Right.
Susan is here because we talked about her story the other day, and I was so taken, I immediately pinned her down to schedule her for the show. Susan, tell us a little bit about your transition. I know that you had a successful career,
Yes.
but you moved here a little later in life. You were kind of hit between the eyes with something.
Sure. Well, what happened is that I had a very successful corporate life in a different state. I lived in Georgia and originally from Massachusetts, actually. And but it wasn't really my purpose.
What did you do in the corporate world?
I worked for the American Institute of Architects. I also had other jobs, but that was probably my most recent job. And
So it's very interesting, right?
Oh, yes, it was a
well
great job.
paid, right?
Yep, I was the executive director. So I traveled, I met very successful people. By all means, it looked like the perfect job, but it wasn't my job. I had a lot of self-doubt. I had a lot of self-criticism. I always felt like an imposter in that job. I never felt secure or really like that was what I should be doing. And it wore on me. It was stressful. Eventually, I got burned out. And it affected my relationship with my husband, our family life. And it was the sort of thing where, in time, both of us felt like things needed to change. And that's when we moved to Florida.
Let me back up real quick. You started to see that there was a change needed. Did you guys, did you guys have to sit down and prioritize? Or were you guys just struggling and you were looking for what's the linchpin? Why are we doing this? Because obviously you guys love each other. I mean, it's really easy to see you two together and know you're really into each other and you're really close. But it sounds like it wasn't always like that.
Well, we had a lot of conversations about it, actually. We did. And it took a lot of convincing. My husband had to really convince me to do some soul searching and think about why I was so convinced that I need to stay with this job. And I began to realize that I stayed with this job because I was afraid. I was afraid to step out.
Fear is a killer, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I had so much fear and anxiety about leaving that job because it was the only thing I knew. It was the only thing I knew how to do successfully. Yet, I also knew that it wasn't really my dream and my goal and my purpose and what I wanted to do deep down inside in my heart. But fear kept me there. And we talked about it quite often. And then finally, the more we talked about it, the more I realized we needed to change. I needed to change. I needed to step away from it. And then once I committed to leaving that job and moving, my God, I felt so much better. It was still scary, but I felt so much better.
It's cool because, this is about you, but I know your husband well enough to know he's a do-it guy.
Yeah.
And so was that difficult, or did that make it easier for you to have somebody who would encourage you to just do it all the time? Sometimes when you're afraid, you don't want to hear that.
Yeah.
Well,
no, it was, initially I didn't like it, right? Because it was like, you just kind of leave
You don't
me,
understand.
Yeah, just kind of leave me alone, I know what's best.
Yeah.
But towards the point where I finally made that decision, I knew he was right, and I just kept listening to him more and more and understanding
Was there
what
a
he was saying.
linchpin? Was there like a single thing, or was it just a group? In my life changes, people always talk about the revelation. I love these guys have a story that something happened and the light bulb came on, but that's not my story. In my life, it was a series of little events that gave me insight over the course of time.
Yeah.
That over a 2 or 3 year period, I was able to go, after that 2 or 3 year period, those insights all totaled up to, oh yeah, something needs to change?
Right. Well, it was a little bit of both for me, actually. It was a series of events over probably the last 2 or 3 years in that job. And then it was one culmination, and that was we had our national convention in Atlanta. So our chapter was like working with the national office. And I thought, okay, this is like the big thing, the big kahuna. I can't do anything more than this as an executive director. So once I've done this is like...
Where do you go, right?
Yeah, exactly. Where do I go? So I made my decision. After that, I would resign and we would move. And that's what I did. I gave a 2 months notice and did the convention. It was a great convention. I enjoyed it. I worked hard. And then we moved.
So you moved here, but then that wasn't quite... sometimes we call this a geographic change. Sometimes we move and think everything's going to be all right.
Oh,
but
hell
it isn't.
no.
There's some work to do still,
right? Oh, my
right?
gosh, yeah. I moved here and didn't know anybody. I mean, we moved to a beautiful place. But all of a sudden, I had no purpose to get up in the morning. I didn't know what to do with myself. I had a closet full of clothes I couldn't wear anymore.
Why couldn't you wear the clothes anymore?
Because they were power suits and they were, high heel shoes and, pantyhose.
Yeah,
what am I going to do with that in Florida?
Yeah, you're in Florida.
Right? So I thought, oh my God, I made a huge mistake. What have I done? And a couple things happened. I, number one, got depressed. Literally, I became clinically depressed. And I just fell into a downward spiral. And then what I also did is I went back to my comfort zone in a way, and I began to volunteer at the Special Olympics Florida Claremont headquarters office.
I want to stop there for a quick second. So many people don't understand. Depression is a real thing.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just feeling sorry for yourself. It's not just, some of us do. For those of us who are quote unquote normal, depression is a part of life. Sometimes you just get depressed, but you don't stay there. But there is a real depression that just goes on and on and on. And it sounds like, one of the solutions, I hate it when doctors just want to give you medicine for everything. Sounds like one of your solutions was to give, was to put yourself in a spot with people where you were helping somebody else. And that's where the Special Olympics came in, right?
Right. I didn't make that connection.
At the time,
no,
right?
No, I did not.
So why did you do Special Olympics? Was it just to have something to do?
Initially, yes. I went back to a corporate environment because it was comfortable, right? I was like, oh my God, I'm sitting around here doing nothing. I need to get back into something that feels comfortable for me. So I went back and I started to volunteer at their office. And I still do that now, and I'm very happy there, and I love the people, and I love the cause. But now, also, in addition to that, I volunteer at some of their events, their sporting events, with the athletes, and I help teach them yoga. So it's evolved a little bit. So I still volunteer at the office, but I also get involved in the sporting events.
So was that the key to pulling you out of depression, or was there other work?
Oh, no.
So I know somehow in there you discovered yoga.
Yes. Yes,
so
I did.
Tell us about that really quickly.
Well, I just happened to see a yoga studio very close to where I live. I went in, I took a class, and it hit me. Boom. This is where I belong. This is where my energy feels good. There was good energy there. And I started to just go to classes. Now, it was not an overnight, I'm all better. Yeah. I had to, I had to go to therapy. I admit, I had to go to therapy. But I also found a lot of therapy from yoga, from meditation, from the support of beautiful, loving women at the yoga studio.
Sounds like you found your tribe through this process.
I did.
As well.
I found my tribe. I took a lot of workshops. I got my teacher training there, and my life just changed. I never looked back.
You know, so often I hear these kind of stories, and it sounds like the key to overcoming that spot, that I will warn the audience, you know, the watchers, that spot is due for all of us at some point in time. And for some of us, several times in our life, depending on the transitions that we go through, is always seems to be that you've got to get proactive. You've got to, you can't just sit there and wait for it to change. And it's almost antithetical. It's counterintuitive, because when you are depressed, when you are in that mode, all you want to do is sit there, right?
That's right.
But you can't. It's the worst thing to do. Look, we're going to hear from I want to hear about the rest of your story. We are going to go hear from our sponsors. We're going to take a commercial break. Okay. When we come back, Susan is with us. She's going to tell us about her holistic life coaching and yoga practice, and some of the things that are coming up. So we'll see you in a second. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors.
Your CBD store Claremont provides a wide range of high-quality, full and broad-spectrum CBD products. Topical creams, tinctures, water solubles, edibles, and even CBD products for your pets. From soil to oil, your CBD store Claremont sources and provides third-party lab tests for all products so that you know exactly what you're getting. Stop by your CBD store Claremont today to speak with one of our knowledgeable staff members to find the right CBD product for you.
50 West, pre-leasing now in Claremont. A first-of-its-kind commercial development in the Southeast. Contact us today to reserve your spot in this historic development. 50 West, unique, quality, Class A. For more information on leasing, contact Ashley Punn at 407-403-4165. Karen Arlano at 407-948-0767. Or visit lease at 50west.com.
Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors. And welcome back. We still have with us Susan Proper, talking about her story of overcoming a true life challenge. Look, our sponsors today, Modern Orthodontics, I love you, get out there. 50 West, great, beautiful, new landmark in town. But I really want to mention CBD store, because CBD has become an alternative. Our friend Stephanie Dybel. Sorry, Stephanie. My tongue ain't working today. Is really working in this holistic area and helping people with alternatives. And the more we talk a lot about alternative medications and alternative treatments, holistic things. And I know that I wanted to ask, at what point did you realize you had come beyond the transition? You got here, you're depressed, you don't know what to do, you start doing things. How long did it take you before you realized, hey, I'm doing pretty good, I'm getting closer to my husband, I love my tribe? At what point was it that you said, wow, this is pretty cool?
It actually took a couple of years. It wasn't an overnight thing.
It took work.
It took work. It really did. It took a lot of soul searching. It took coaching for myself. Again, it took therapy. And I really had to figure out deep inside me where it all originated from and what my fears were and what was holding me back. You know, what was that self-criticism and what was the root of that self-doubt, and deal with it.
Did you ever figure that out?
I did.
You know, did you had mentioned counseling earlier. Is that why you took therapy? Is to deal with that root?
It helped me deal with that root. Yes, it did. I have to admit that. It helped me find it. And while I was going through the therapy and also through coaching, I did them kind of both at the same time. I learned so much about the process that it helped me figure out, hey, I know how to do this now. You know, it was really interesting. And that's when I got into getting my own life coaching certification.
So you decided at some point to, you know, it's really funny that the coolest people, my best interviews, the coolest people that I run into, they're giving stuff like this, but it's because they got so much out of it, and then they said, hey, I have to give this away. You know, I'm reminded of the verse in the Bible, can't tell you the address, but the verse goes, what I have been given, I freely give, right? It's that concept of pushing on what helped you survive and become who and what you are.
Right.
So I know that you take, and we started to talk about Stephanie in the Your CBD store. You know, they're an alternative. People tend to think of it just for like medications and pain, but I know a lot of people that are having all over the country. There's a lot of research being done with both CBD and THC as a holistic alternative to things. I mean, for depression, we can talk about antidepressants like amitriptyline, you know, which will make you into a zombie, you know, and I know because I've had to take it for things.
Okay.
You know, and I hate to take it. You know, and so a lot of people that end up in these situations are, you know, they don't do any exercise, they don't do anything other than take the medication.
Right.
But they don't want to take the medication. It doesn't make them feel good. It might solve whatever symptom is going on, but they don't really get a handle on your life. So tell us a little bit about the holistic viewpoint. I know that because your business says yoga and holistic life coaching.
Sure. And again, it's all about getting to the root, right? And getting to the root takes a lot of soul searching, and and sometimes that can be painful. And I'm not saying that CBD or drugs or anything will help you get to the root. Sometimes it will.
I'll tell you, no, they won't.
But
I'll say it. You can't. I can.
And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not saying don't take your medication. You know, you still have to see your doctor about whatever it is that, you know, if you are depressed or whatever. I'm not a medically trained. However, I do know that with holistic life coaching, with what I do, I use exercise, I use meditation, I use the energy from crystals, I use aromatherapy, and sometimes that does include oils that may have CBD in them. Right. I even have some clients that are interested in oracle cards or daily affirmations. So it's looking at it from all different perspectives. And what happens is that when I do coaching with some of my clients, they walk away with a personalized program that includes all of these things, so that once they've found whatever the heck it is that's in their head, that itty-bitty shitty committee that is criticizing and self-doubting and holding all those fears inside of them, we find a way to release all that, get rid of all that, and then use these tools that can keep them on track. Sure, they can call me or email me and say, hey, I'm having a bad day, can you help me? But they have these tools to use on a holistic daily level.
Do you know, this is so important because, I mean, me and Miss Pat's experience working with addicts and their families, it's that same base. I mean, sometimes it's not evidenced in depression, sometimes it's evidenced in addiction. You know, and the problem that I find with a lot of doctors, I don't want to say most doctors, but a lot of doctors is they'll give you a medication and they think that's the end of it.
Right.
You know, and realistically, medication should only be used for a short period of time to help you heal. Well, if you're not doing anything else to heal, the doctor wouldn't give you medication for pain of cancer and not get rid of the cancer.
Right.
But so often in things like depression or migraines or things like that, well, all they do is treat the symptom. They don't want to treat, the original problem. And I see this in addiction. They want to treat the symptom, and because all rehabs are not created equal. They want to treat the symptom,
yes,
and not the cause.
That's
and
right.
It sounds like you're trying to get to what they should be doing, which is mind, body, and spirit.
That's right.
Getting to something. So how do you get somebody on board with that? They come to you do they come to you knowing they have that need, or do you usually just discover it through your yoga clients?
No, most people will come because they feel that they have that need. They feel that there's something missing. Sometimes it's a life change. Sometimes it could be divorce. It could be moving to a place where, maybe your husband got a new job and all of a sudden you're isolated and you don't know anybody. It could be a million things.
How do you find your clients?
Right now, it's through word of mouth or advertising.
Is people you've tended to be people you've helped?
Sometimes, yeah, sometimes, not always. Sometimes it's people that I've never met before, but it's a lot through social media.
Do you ever see it on somebody's face? You ever go somewhere and meet somebody and see it on their face?
Sometimes, yes. Yes, I do.
Because I know a lot of the work that Miss Pat and I do in our field is that I can, we've been at it long enough that we can recognize, we see the way a husband and wife are interacting, or a father and daughter are interacting, or two brothers are interacting, and we're like, do you have some sort of a thing in your life?
Yeah, you can spot it.
Yeah, you start to be able to recognize it. Look, we're running out of time. We have is this from your website? Or is this just a pic? This is from your website.
Yeah, that's my website.
To walk us through this real quick. That's a gorgeous picture of you.
Oh, thanks.
Does this have a list of your services?
Yes, I think under... so if you go to coaching, that lists my coaching services there.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, is this 90-minute session, focus on that for a second, Jay, the 90-minute session. Is that a yoga session? Is it a counseling session?
It's both. We meet either on Skype or Zoom or something, and it will include a little bit of conversation about yoga asanas that are good for the client, but mostly this particular one is about getting to the root, trying to get about the root.
And I see you have a 3-month program here, which probably takes them a little deeper.
This is where they walk away with their own personal package.
And what's the next one down there?
Those are the 2 packages that I offer currently.
Good.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to cut this short, but I had a couple of subjects I wanted to make sure we covered. Yeah. I know when you do the Special Olympics, you're helping these kids with yoga and everything else too.
Yes.
You coach some of their families a little bit as a volunteer. Very near and dear to our heart is the Special Olympics. But this is where you are now. What's next for you? Where are you going?
Sure. Well, what's next is that one of my dreams, is yoga retreats. And I have done a couple of small retreats, one to Tuscany, Italy, and one to Tulum, Mexico.
Is this reflected on your Facebook page? Or
it is currently not there. That is something that I have to do. It might be on my Facebook page. Yes, it's on my Facebook page. Yes, it is, but it's
a little further down.
It's probably way down.
So tell us what a yoga retreat is.
Okay, so take a small group of women, no more than 10. I really like to keep the number small so it's intimate and very personalized, and pretty much do the same thing that I would do in a coaching program. Small group, get to the root, and
you specialize in women, don't you?
Yes, I do.
I mean, you may help men, but you're not helping men in the group situation.
No.
Every now and then you'll take a client if you feel the call is right, the need is there. But in general, you're focusing 99% on women.
Yes, I do.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Is that because that's what helped you?
Yes.
So
yes, it is.
Don't fix what ain't broke, right?
Yeah, I had, my therapist was a woman, or is a woman, and the group of yogis that helped me so much were all women.
Right.
And yeah, so I reach out to women. I want to help women because I know what they need. I understand the psyche, and I feel it.
You know, it's a really cool concept. It's one of the reasons that Pat and I help families is because it was families that helped us,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and we were a family that needed help. So when we reach out to other families, we feel like we can speak intelligently about that.
Makes
you know?
sense.
You know, Susan, it's been great having you on.
Thank
I
you.
really, really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me here.
This is such an important subject for people. And, you know, many times things like depression or rough transitions get glossed over because they get lost in the whole idea. Well, you're depressed. I have cancer. You know, it's like you don't even want to talk. You're like, okay, I know everybody's problem is bigger than mine, but I still feel this way. Right? I'm so glad. Again, it's so cool to see, to watch the relationship with you and your husband, and
you.
You're really cool, and he's really cool.
And you're a good cook.
Oh, well. I don't know where you heard that story.
I heard that story in my own kitchen.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
That's right. I did a little bit of cooking. I went to a holiday party at Susan's house, and like I always do, I show up a little bit early. And I always end up in the kitchen. It's the place I'm comfortable, right?
That's right.
People come to me. I don't have that awkward, who are you? Everybody likes Joe because he's either pouring something in your glass or putting something on your plate. Everybody likes me.
That's right.
Just a weird way I'm wired. Look, Susan's been great. So again, thank you for coming on.
Really appreciate it.
Look, if you know somebody who should be a guest on Joe Knows South Lake, you've got the information there. Reach out to me. People reach out to Jay and I all the time. Don't be afraid. You give me a call. We'll find out about your story, and we'll bring you on as soon as we can. We also have a community calendar. If you run or work with an organization or a business or an group of individuals that are putting on any event in town, reach out to us. We will put you on the community calendar. We will schedule you on the show to talk about your event, and we will give you opportunities to live stream right here on the show the same way that we live stream City Hall events or the local high school sports. Finally, there is greatness inside you. And as Susan is using her greatness to bring out the greatness in others, I encourage you, use your greatness today to bring out the greatness in somebody else. You can touch a life today with a simple act of kindness, a simple hug. Don't forget the rules. And by touching a life, you will change the world. I'm Joe. This has been Joe Knows South Lake. Really, really love seeing you. I will see you tomorrow. And I love you. Bye-bye. My name is Joe. 20 years ago, my wife and I moved to Lake County with our 4 young children and settled down. In that time, we've worked, worshiped, played, and raised our family. Today, I've met the people and discovered the businesses and organizations that make up a vibrant, dynamic community. Join us as we share with you what makes South Lake great. I'm Joe, and Joe Knows South Lake. Joe Knows South Lake would like to thank the following sponsors: